السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد. Today, brothers and sisters, inshallah, we'll carry on with where we left off last time in our series on the Fiqh of Tahara. And today, or last time, who can remind me with what we were talking about last? Who recalls? What was the last mas'ala we were discussing? Or whether we begin discussing? Na'am? Tayammum. Tayammum, which is the dry Tahara. When do we use Tayammum?
There's no water.
When there's no water, or when using water will cause some type of harm or injury to the individual. We mentioned that last time. And inshallah ta'ala today we're going to carry on also speaking about essential and important issues to do with tayammum. And like we mentioned last time, these masail are very important because they are contemporary and recurring incidents that always take place where this information is very useful to the Muslim, because obviously everyone has to perform salah and everyone has to perform tahara. So it's important for everybody to know this information. So at one point in their life or another, when the time comes, they have the information to know how to react. So the mas'ala we want to discuss today, brothers and sisters, is regarding if one can perform tayammum in order to spare the salah's time. What do I mean by that exactly? Can you make tayammum to perform the salah on time so you do not miss the timing of the salah, so it does not expire? An example we can give, or we can paint the picture for you. Let's say somebody woke up for Salat al-Fajr and the sunrise is at 5:20 a.m. and the person woke up at 5:15 or 5, something in that range. And if they were to go perform wudu or ghusl and then pray, they're going to miss Salat al-Fajr. In this instance, should they make wudu or ghusl and pray Fajr out of its time after sunrise? Or should they make tayammum and pray Salat al-Fajr before the sunrise? This is what we want to discuss, inshallah. So the ulama have disputed in this mas'ala into two opinions. The first opinion is the minority opinion, and that is that one should perform tayammum in this regard if they fear that the timing for the salat will be missed. And this is the opinion of al-Malikiyya and some of the Hanafi madhab, and one narration in the Hanbali madhab, and this opinion was chosen by Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. And once again, that is the opinion that one should do tayammum to spare the timing of the salat. So they'll do tayammum in order to miss the time of the salat. And then the second opinion, of course, is that one, if they were in this situation and this were to occur, then no, they should actually perform their tahara with water, making wudu or ghusl, and then perform salat al-fajr or the salat that's applicable at the time, even if it is out of its timing. Okay? And this is the opinion of the majority of the ulama from the Hanafiyya, Shafi'iyya, Hanabila, and it's also the opinion that's narrated in the Maliki madhab as well. Just for a show of hands, just to see what you guys think at this point, based off of what we have learned so far, or maybe your background knowledge, what do you guys think is the more correct opinion before we go a little bit deeper? Should one perform tayammum and pray salah within its time? If you think this is the correct opinion, just do it, raise your hand so you can get it. So a minority of you view that. Okay. So what's the sabab of the khilaf in this mas'ala? It really goes back to a matter to do with the usul or the principles that these ulama base their opinions upon. Okay? And what the matter is, or the principle, is what they believe to be more essential for the salah. What's given precedence? Because we know that the time of the salah and the tahara are both what? In relationship to the salah, what are they? They're both? Not arkan. Shurut. They're both conditions. Right? So which condition is given precedence? Timing of salah or tahara for salah? Okay? So the first group who allowed the tayammum to avoid missing time of salah, obviously they're giving precedence to the timing of the salah, okay, over the tahara. And they gave some explanation to this. So we'll go through those inshallah. They mentioned that the one who is going to miss salah, okay, that they are similar to an ill person who is performing tayammum. How so? The ill person, he does tayammum to pray salah when does the ill person he does tayammum in order to pray the salah within its time. Okay, he's not commanded to wait till he recovers and then pray salah. He's commanded to pray salah in his current situation while he is ill, even though he cannot have access to water, he cannot use water. He cannot use water because it will cause some adverse effects to him. But he is commanded to pray upon his circumstance and to not delay the salah until he recovers from his illness where water won't affect him, and then pray then. So we know that the person, if they're ill, they can pray sitting down, lying down, or whatever position they can in order to preserve the time of the salah. Okay? So the ulama that hold this opinion, they say that the Sharia, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, could have ordered the ill person to wait till recovery and then perform tahara with water. But that was not the case. He was commanded in this situation to make tayammum in order to avoid missing the timing for the salah. Okay? And they say that that similarly applies to this person who has very short amount of time to make the salah within its time frame. They say it's applicable to this person. The second argument they used is that they compared it to somebody who has khawf or fear. Okay? We know that the person who has a situation of khawf or fear, okay, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislate for them? There's something especially or specifically legislated for the Muslimin who have khawf. There's some fear taking place. For example, they're in a battle. The Muslims are battling the enemy. So there's some khawf of attack from the enemy or whatnot. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated a special type of salah for those people, which is called Salat al-Khawf. Okay, Salat al-Khawf. And there is various ways to pray Salat al-Khawf. Salat al-Khawf, there's a number of ways that are mentioned. We're not going to get into that right now, that's not our topic for the day. But there's many ways to pray Salat al-Khawf depending on the exact situation of the Muslimin. And the ulama, they say that, so in the first situation, the person who is ill and cannot use water due to that illness, okay, in many cases that illness is expected to subside. So there will come a time where they will recover and be able to use water, but nevertheless the Sharia didn't command them to wait till that time, rather it commanded to pray salah on time in your current circumstance. Likewise, Muslimin who experience khawf or fear, okay, it's also expected that the fear will also subside at some time. But nevertheless, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't command the believers to wait until the fear subsides and then make salah with tahara. No. Or make salah out of its time rather. So similarly, the ulama, they compare this to that incident and they say that similarly, the person who has khawf and it's expected to subside at some point in time, they were not commanded to wait till that time out of the salah time in order to offer the salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated Salat al-Khawf So a Muslim performs salah even in a state of fear, even in a battle, even during warfare. Imagine. All of that is done in order to preserve what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding the believers to pray even in a circumstance of warfare. In order to do what? A special salah, special arrangement for the salah. In order to preserve the timing of the salah. Okay? So they compare that to tayammum and they say similarly one should preserve the timing and give it precedence over the tahara and make tayammum and preserve the time. Another reason they said is that amongst, to begin with, you need to go back to the origins, is amongst the benefits or the goals of legislating tayammum to begin with. Okay, the tayammum was revealed by Allah Azza wa Jalla to begin with in order to preserve the timing of the salah. That's one of the benefits of it. How so? The similar reasoning is used because one who is on a journey, for example, or one who has no water, because we know one of the main reasons someone would make tayammum is because they have no access to water in order to make tahara of wudu or ghusl, correct? So likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't command the believers to wait until they find water and make salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instead legislated subhanahu wa ta'ala tayammum so the believer can use earth and make salah on time. Okay? Even though it's expected in many cases for someone who does not currently have access to water to have access to it after a period of time. Maybe they find it if they're on a journey, they'll find water later on in their journey. Or when they are relieved of the circumstance they're in and water becomes available. Okay? So, as we said, they could have been ordered to wait until water is reached. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have made this the hukum in the sharia. You have to wait until you reach the water, even if the time for salah expires, but that was not the case. So this is the first opinion, and the arguments, some of the main arguments they use. Okay, does it sound convincing? Sound convincing? Who now adopts the first opinion? Who thinks this sounds pretty strong opinion? MashaAllah, not convincing, yeah? طيب, the second opinion, and just to highlight actually before moving forward, a qaida that Shaykh al-Islam has, rahimahullah, and we know that Shaykh al-Islam is, what madhab does he adhere to, Shaykh al-Islam? Is he a Hanafi, Shaykh al-Islam? He is a Hanbali. He's one of the main ai in the Hanbali madhab, rahimahullah. So Shaykh al-Islam, rahimahullah, he has a qaida that's recurring, and he mentions that what's given precedence, the most important shart of salah is its time. Okay? It's very, very important. If you like to study Ibn Taymiyyah's work, he has this qaida that the timing for the salah is given precedence over all other shurut for salah. Okay? And due to obviously some of the arguments presented now, and due to the asl that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Exactly. So, and many other reasons for that, but just wanted to share that as well. So the second opinion, which is the opinion of the majority of the ulama, they said that if one wakes up and they have very little time to perform salah, okay, or they remembered salah. Sometimes it happens, someone genuinely forgets about offering the salah, so that he comes to remember and there's very short time left. And they need to make wudu or ghusl. He needs to make the wudu or ghusl even if he'll miss the timing of salah, because tayammum is not sufficient for him in such circumstance. And the proof of this, the use, is the verse on tayammum in the Quran, which is, what's the verse of tayammum in the Quran? No. Al-ayah, no. Jazakallah khairan, may Allah barak feek. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَمْ تَجْدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly says, if you cannot find water, then make tayammum with pure earth. Okay? Or, now. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated in the verse the tayammum for the one who is ill and one who cannot find water. Okay? So the person who woke up minutes before the salah time expires, or he remembered the salah right before it's going to expire, they do not fall under the reasoning which tayammum was legislated for, according to the ayah directly. Okay, does that make sense? Does that sound convincing? Okay. So in a nutshell, they said that this person has no excuse. Okay, he has water, so it's not from the person who cannot find water. They have water, it's accessible to them. They're not ill, there's no harm in using it. So none of the valid excuses of the legislation for tayammum apply to this person. And this is like the most strong dalil that they have for their argument. Okay? And they also use, secondly, the ahadith requiring tahara for salah. As we know, in the hadith in al-Bukhari, Rasulullah said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that, which translated meaning is, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept the salah of any of you who makes a hadath, who invalidates the wudu, until they perform wudu. And in another narration, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not, another narration in Sahih Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept the salah of somebody without tahara, without purification. So they use these general adillah for proving that salah must have purification, and then previously by mentioning that none of the excuses of tayammum apply to the person. So because tahara is a prerequisite and they are not excused to make tayammum, then their salah is unacceptable without it, even if the time has lapsed, even if the time for salah has expired. Another point that's mentioned as well is Ibn al-Mundhir, rahimahullah, he mentions that there is an ijma' amongst the ulama that one cannot make tayammum for salat al-Jum'ah if water is available in order to avoid missing salat al-Jum'ah. Okay? This ijma' is mentioned in specific to salat al-Jum'ah, but they also use it as an argument to support their opinion. And another point they use is that the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in Nasa'i, that if one of you forgets salah or sleeps and misses it, he should pray when he remembers it. Okay? And this hadith is used in what sense? The instruction of Rasulullah ﷺ, it shows something that's specific or unique to this circumstance. If somebody forgets salah, or they slept and they missed it, what should they do? Special direction from Rasulullah. When do they pray the salah? When they remember it. They make the salah when they remember, or when they wake up. So the ulama, they extract the hukum from this, and they say that the timing for salah for such an individual is a different timing than al-asl, than the default. Okay? The timing for the person who he slept through, and by the way, when we say the person he slept through, we're talking about in the first instance of the person, they woke up late, there's a very short time of salah, time to pray salah left, or the person who completely slept through the salah, it's not out of negligence, it is not out of negligence. Okay, it's done by mistake, or by accident, or out of forgetfulness. Okay, the person who is negligent, that's a whole different story, okay? But so for the person who, by mistake, he slept, he intended to wake up for salah, but he didn't. Or the person who genuinely forgot about praying salah, then he remembers it. The waqt salah for this person is different than the standard. And that is that this person's waqt salah is as soon as he remembers it or wakes up, as is the direction of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the person who misses the timing, like we said, not out of negligence, okay, someone who genuinely missed it, okay, they have an exemption. Okay, there's a special excuse or circumstance for this person. So they don't need to, like going back to the original mas'ala, the person that wakes up and there's 2 minutes left, they don't have to rush and go make tayammum and pray salah like a rocket going fast so they can catch it. No, their timing is different than the original timing of the salah according to this opinion. So, now if we want to say what's al-qawl al-rajih, or the more correct or selected opinion, what would you guys say? Who would say that the first opinion is more stronger? Just raise your hand if you believe the first opinion is more stronger. The first opinion. And? No. فأنا myself I'm not going to rajih which is the correct one, because the big giant ulama rahimahumullah, they spoke about this and they all have their adillah, they all have their arguments, they all have their points. But just for the fact that I wanted to go into depth and detail, just to give us a taste of how it looks like when the ulama have khilaf and how they argue back and forth and they use their own adillah and arguments to support their aqwal, so we can see how they differ. And inshallah, today's halaqah will not be too long. And you know what, inshallah, with this we will conclude bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Just right before we conclude, right before we finish, is that somebody, if you want, if you're unsure to take the qawl al-rajih, which one is the more correct opinion, you're not a mujtahid, then obviously if you're following a certain qawa'id of a madhab, then you can just stick to the madhab you follow. If you're unaware or you cannot make ijtihad, what is the most correct opinion? Okay, so some brother last week he was saying he wants to focus on the Shafi'i madhab, so if you're unaware, you cannot differentiate, you cannot make it your own ijtihad based off of having your knowledge, then sticking to what the madhab, if you follow قواعد of certain madhab, sticking to that inshallah does not harm. هذا والله أعلم. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.